1. Fade in. Title card. Super Madman. A silhouette of a man walks into an impressionistic rendering of an office. He's wearing a suit and carrying a briefcase. As he sets the case down, the entire room falls apart. The man is suddenly plummeting from a building. It's part of a skyline made of ads from the late 1950s. The man tears open his shirt to reveal a bright red S beneath it. We push in on the familiar logo of Superman, and then abruptly pull out to reveal the man is now seated. His back is to us. His red cape and right arm are draped over the chair. In his hand, he calmly holds a lit cigarette. End title sequence. Title card. Metropolis, 1960. Open tight on a pair of confident eyes. We pull back to reveal they're Don Draper's. He's 30s, commanding, and white, sitting alone in a corner booth. Interior, Hotel Metropolis Steakhouse. Dusk. It's upscale but not ornate. Men in suits, women in dresses, waiters in jackets. Almost everyone is smoking. There's an empty tumbler on Don's table, a few napkins, and a set of keys. He's in a suit and tie, smoking and watching the adjacent lobby through the entry. A waiter passes. Another old-fashioned, Don says. Anything to eat? The waiter asks. I'm not past my limit, Don replies. The waiter quickly explains, Sorry, I didn't mean to overstep. One more would be number 8. 7. 6 drinks, 6 napkins, Don says as he spreads the 6 napkins. They're covered with handwriting, most notably the word envoyed. I got a hold of myself, Don says. Off Don's steady look, the waiter nods and heads to the bar. Dr. and Mrs. Rock walk through the entry. He's hardy, white, in his early 70s. She's charming, white, in her mid-60s. As they survey for seating, Don approaches them and says, Dr. Rock. Yes, and who might you be? Dr. Rock asks. Don Draper, creative director, Sterling Cooper. We're scheduled to meet tomorrow for Envoyed, Don says. Yes, the advertising agency. Mr. Draper, this is my wife Helen, Dr. Rock says. Pleasure to meet you, Don says. And you. Your city is lovely, Mrs. Rock replies. Don smiles and says, My adopted home. But I'll still take credit. How's your stay been? Very well, thank you, Dr. Rock says. We were actually hoping to see Superman, Mrs. Rock interjects. Don knowingly nods and says that may be possible. A friend of mine, and that thing which you do displeases the Lord, Doctor. Don and the Rocks turn to see 3 belligerent men, cocktails in hand. Pardon me? Dr. Rock says. The belligerent man continues. I saw you in the planet. I got your number, Doctor. Genesis 38, pervert. That's enough, Don says. Sir, I am a God-fearing man, Dr. Rock explains. You're a perverter of God's will, the belligerent man replies. The man moves aggressively at Dr. Rock. Don puts the man in a hold and uses his momentum to throw him back into his buddies. It's an effortless redirection, but Don's force is so great the men all smash into the waiter returning with Don's drink. Patrons stare in shock. Dr. Rock runs to help them all. Get off of me, the belligerent man says as he and his friend struggle to their feet and size Don up. He stares them down. The belligerent men stagger off as Dr. Rock helps the waiter back up. Just rattled. Thanks, the waiter says. Dr. Rock sputters. My sincerest apologies. Please excuse us. Don starts to say, Dr. Rock, I'm so... But the Rocks exit before Don can finish. As the waiter limps around, cleaning up the aftermath, Don leaves a large tip under his tumbler. The waiter half mumbles under his breath. That's some hold. Cut 2. Interlocking arms of a diverse group of peaceful protesters. They're all singing, He's got the whole world. In his hands he's got the sun and rain. In his hands he's got the moon. Exterior stickies. Night. The protesters stand outside the Midtown Metropolis 5 and Dime at dinner hour. They're locked together, holding signs that say, Support North Carolina students. Stickies segregate Southern lunch counters. And justice for all. Among them is Michael Holt. 20s, genius, black. He's singing at the top of his lungs. A crowd is gathered along with reporters and police officers. This is an unlawful assembly. You are trespassing. You are breaking the law, the police call out. The protesters just keep singing. He's got the wind and the clouds. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. He's got everybody here. In his hands. The police start to move on the protesters. Suddenly, an unmarked car with tinted windows pulls up to a hard stop. A white agent gets out, flashes a badge, and says something to the police. The police pull back for a beat. The white agent produces a pair of handcuffs and pulls Michael away from the other protesters. He starts to resist. Michael, Mike, don't resist! The protesters cry. Michael goes limp and lets the white agent cuff him. Another protester steps out of the crowd and takes Michael's place in the chain. The white agent leads Michael over to the unmarked car, puts him in back, and shuts the door. Interior, unmarked car, continuous. Sitting in the back seat is Amanda Waller, 30s, frighteningly sharp, black. She begins to offer Michael a key for the cuffs. He pulls his hands out from behind his back on his own. He's broken the cuffs. Those are coming out of your pay, Waller says. I don't report till 0500 a.m., Michael replies. You want to spend your last night of freedom in jail? I can still make that happen, Waller says. If it helps our people's cause, Michael says stoically. Waller replies, when you work for me, there's one cause, mine. Getting your head busted before this mission starts isn't part of it. To penetrate these suits, I need you sharp. Even with a concussion, I'll be the sharpest person in that office, Michael quips. Waller shoots back. Your target isn't a person. Why is it all you brilliant geniuses haven't the faintest idea? It may look like soft surveillance work on a bunch of squares, but as I've explained, it's more dangerous than it appears at Sterling Cooper. Cut 2. Interior, Gothic church, rec room, later. A varied group of men and women sit in folding chairs. Many wear masks, some superhero suits. A man in a balaclava, dark goggles, and a business suit stands before them and says, don't know what's more mortifying, admitting you're a bit balmy or that psychotherapy is the solution. Dead silence. The man nervously adjusts his disguise and continues. Thought wearing a mask would be a cinch. Sure, it turned into a fuss. Will it leave marks? Is it ventilated? Can it be easily removed? I've lost myself. Seems a theme. Superman appeared when I was a child. All that power, and he champions underdogs. I wanted to redress the balance as well. So like many of you, I put on a suit and mask too. My mantra was, breaking the law to help others was all right, until I realized if I had to keep saying it, it couldn't be. I've given up vigilantism and crime. I still haven't owned up in public. But it's time to say, my name is... The man pulls off his mask. He's 20s, untrustworthy, white. His name is Peter Campbell. He hesitantly says, My name is Don, and I'm a recovering anonymous vigilante. The group gives him supportive applause. Dr. Mark, a genteel doctor, approaches Pete, shakes his hand earnestly, and says, This is a mighty big step, Don. Pete, my name is Pete. I don't know why I said Don. Pete blurts out. The applause stops. There's an awkward beat of silence. Dr. Mark warmly says, I think I know, because like so many of us, you're on a tough road with many more steps to take. Cut 2. Interior, Julian Gallery, same. Well-to-do white patrons dance, mingle, and peruse antiquities. The huge space has a new granite floor and a vaulted ceiling. A reopening gala banner hangs. The centerpiece is a huge diamond enclosed in a thick glass dome. The dance floor parts as Lois Lane makes her way through it with a notepad and pen. She's white, 40, disarmingly blunt and shrewd. Lois unenthusiastically says, this thing's 10 pounds of air. You hear me, Olson? Behind Lois, a photographer snaps pictures of the event. The camera lowers, revealing Peggy Olson, a modest and determined young white woman with a big camera bag strapped to her. Yes, Miss Lane. Think I'm done. I can keep shooting if you like, Peggy says. Lois turns on her and says, Peggy Olson, if you don't start calling me Lois or just Lane, I'm going to get sore. And stop asking my permission. You're a pro now. Right. I just don't know if he'll show for a shiny rock he recovered from jewel thieves over a year ago, Peggy says. Lois shrugs her off and says, couldn't care whatsoever. I'm not here for Superman. I'm hoping Luther Andor's Sons shows. They're footing the bill. In the meantime, go have fun. Oh, maybe the new darkroom is free, Peggy says. Lois says, fun. Even dull parties rate celebrating. Have a drink. Go ask one of these golden calves for a hoof. You want to be a good pro. Learn when you should or shouldn't take a shot. It's just I'm 20, Peggy utters. Lois replies with a grin. That's not an excuse. It's a toast. She grabs a pair of champagne flutes from a nearby table, gives one to Peggy, and raises the other with a smile. Doom! An explosion tears open the gallery's roof. The ensuing blast wave knocks everyone down. The power goes out. 6 masked and armed soldiers drop through the moonlit hole. As they land, the granite cracks beneath them. Cut 2, exterior Hotel Metropolis, same. Don stands outside smoking a cigarette. Modern skyscrapers loom. Men and women crowd the business district. Doom! Don hears the gallery explosion, which is miles away, as though it were right beside him. No one else hears a thing. As Don rushes into an empty phone booth, cut back to interior, Julian Gallery, same. The soldiers run to the diamond. Patrons scatter to the exits. 4 soldiers aim automatics at those trapped by the display. 1 soldier puts a vibrating spider-like device on the dome. A web of fractures blooms. The soldier taps it, shattering it into a tight archway. Another ducks in and grabs the diamond. Lois, slumped over by the display, stirs. Her legs are pinned under a large unconscious patron. Lois reaches for Peggy. She's out cold. Seeing the soldiers, Lois strains for Peggy's camera. "Drop your weapons and the diamond," a booming voice commands. Across the room, Superman hovers down through the roof. His cape flows. The S on his chest swells. He's omnipotence incarnate and clearly Don Draper. There's a beat of silence as we see through his X-ray vision. It penetrates everything except the soldiers. Pop. Lois takes a flash photo with the camera still strapped to Peggy. The soldiers open fire. Superman dives at them. His eyes bleed red. Lasers radiate from them, vaporizing the bullets. The soldier with the diamond exits the dome and grabs Peggy's camera from Lois. She tries to hold on, but it's torn away, pulling her free of the patron. As the soldier leaves, Lois grabs Peggy's bag and pulls out a smaller camera. Still under fire, Superman punches the bullets he can't vaporize. Several soldiers are hit by the ricochets, but remain unaffected. 2 of them pull out metal test tube-like devices and toss them at Superman. They explode and throw him into the far wall. The blast waves from the explosions expand the hole in the ceiling. Pieces of the roof collapse, pinning Superman. The soldiers near the pile leap onto it and up out of the gallery through the hole in the ceiling. The soldier with the camera and diamond makes a superhuman leap over to the debris and turns to leap out of the gallery too. A red and blue flash suddenly catches its foot. Superman slams the soldier into the ground face first. Peggy's camera is smashed apart. The soldier holds onto the diamond. Its mask gives way, revealing a robotic metal face. Pop. Lois takes another photo, now crouching by a large piece of debris just to Superman's right. Superman smashes the soldier's face and grabs the diamond. The headless soldier won't let go. 2 soldiers on the roof see this, leap down, and open fire. In one move, Superman spins and decapitates them with his heat vision. Behind him, the other soldiers drop into the gallery. One hurls a metal tube at Lois. The other hurls 2 metal tubes at the patrons. Time slows as Superman turns to see the arching tubes. Time snaps back as he propels himself up and darts after them. He barrel rolls between the tube and Lois. Cape inches from her head. Wakes so forceful it knocks Lois several feet back as Superman snatches the tube out of the air. He pitches forward, upright, and slows to smash into the wall behind her. He ricochets off of it and flies after the other tubes. Across the gallery, the first tube lands feet from the display. The second is inches from landing when Superman swoops in and grabs it. The first takes an awkward bounce. Superman just gets a fingertip on it, then the 2 he's holding explode. Superman absorbs both explosions and spirals into the ground hard. Peggy sits up groggily, awakened by the disruption. As she comes to, the last tube rolls up to her. She hesitates for a beat, then flinches. Doom! Peggy opens her eyes. Lois is standing beside her, having just kicked the last explosive through the small archway in the dome, where it safely exploded inside the protective glass. Pop! Lois manages to get a shot of the end of the blast, along with all the patrons she saved. "Still with me, Olsen?" Lois asks. "Yeah, no, thank you," Peggy stammers. Superman rises, unhurt but smoldering. He turns to the debris pile to see 1 soldier grab the diamond, another grab the smashed camera, and the last fire a single shot at Lois. Lois turns to the sound. A gust forces her back. She's suddenly staring at a bullet. Superman stands before her, having caught it between his index finger and thumb. He hurls it back at the soldier. It rips through its head, and it buckles as pop. Lois takes another photo. "Hey, Lug, you're blocking my shot," Lois says. "Stick to reporting, Lane. You're a lousy photographer," Superman replies, as he leaps at the last 2 soldiers and decapitates them with his heat vision. Superman grabs the diamond back as they collapse. Simultaneously, all the broken soldiers self-detonate. Unfazed, Superman strides back through the bursts of fire. "You owe the planet a camera," Lois says, not joking. "Maybe you're a lousy reporter, too. Do some research. The whole planet is mine," Superman says, as he tosses her the diamond and explodes off the ground. He soars through the hole in the roof and into the night. His wake knocks Lois on her rear and extinguishes the fires. Cut to interior, apartment hallway, later. Don, back in his suit and tie, knocks on a door. After a beat it cracks. Lois stands in the threshold and says, "Draper, how are you?" Don asks. Lois flippantly says, "Quiet work night. Gallery opening. What's your tale, Nightingale?" "Just as quiet, though I did save a couple lives," Don replies. This I must hear, Lois says. Interior Lois's apartment continuous. It's stylish yet somewhat messy. A couch, desk, typewriter, police radio. Lois lets Don in and shuts the door. I ran into the inventor of Invoid. A drunk crazy tried to attack him and his wife. I stopped it, Don says. Lois, vaguely impressed, says, Some story. You all right? Don replies, I am now. I'm excited about Invoid, but didn't have Idea 1 now I've met him and work somebody over for him? Lois interrupts. That seals the deal, she continues. No, but maybe if you give me your Superman treatment. I wasn't raised to boast, but I wouldn't mind seeing my face front page, Don says. Lois stares at him, unsure. Don claps his hands twice and says, Grab your steno. How blotto are you? You're not Superman, Draper. And I'm working, Lois replies. Don earnestly says, It's not a cover story yet, but you can embellish. What else are you reporters good for? Lois crosses to the door and opens it, ushering him out. Don doesn't budge. Lois grabs a folded newspaper and swats him to the door as she says, You want an article? I want to give you a hard time, Don says with a grin. That's all you came for? Out, Lois says as she herds him out and tries to shut the door. He stops it and says, There are other ways. Lois pushes back and says, To give me a hard time? What, no article now? No article, Don says. He tosses his jacket through the crack in the door. His tie, shirt. Keeping her weight on the door, Lois picks them up. Don's pants sail in. Lois slams the door and locks it. Outside she can hear Don say, Evening, sir, madam. I'm Lois's pal. Lois checks her peephole. Out in the hall, Don's naked and talking to people she can't see. She tears the door open and pokes her head out. There's no one in the hall but Don. He says, I told you I'd otherwise. Cut to interior Lois's bedroom, continuous. It's dark, yet light enough to see Lois and Don making love. Cut to interior Don/Kal-El's mind. Same. As Don and Lois intertwine, Kal-El, his true identity, slips off into a singularity on the edge of his consciousness. He ends up in a lab with no walls or roof, in a desert with a strange blue sky. 3D images of people float in the lab. As Kal-El studies them, he shuts the singularity, locking us out. Cut back to interior Lois's bedroom, same. Don makes love to Lois while his psyche works elsewhere. Cut to exterior space, later. A battered crystalline spacecraft explodes out of a wormhole. Space-time contracts around it, and then unfurls to reveal the ship is on a collision course with Earth. As it breaks our atmosphere with a sonic boom, cut to interior Lois's bedroom, Dawn. Don's eyes open. He tilts his head in the direction of the boom only he can hear. Then to Lois, asleep in his arms. He tries to get up and not wake her. She stirs, looks up at him. Go back to sleep, Don says. Lois curls up and rolls over as Don gets up from the bed. Cut to exterior Gobi Desert, dusk, same. The crystalline ship plunges to Earth. It deploys an array of glistening sails. One rips free and the ship tears a deep trough in the dunes as it crashes to a violent stop. A panel on the hull bursts open. Brainiac, a very tall living machine, more steampunk than cyber, emerges with a large object wrapped in red fabric. Brainiac is severely leaking. Still cradling the object, Brainiac struggles towards the dipping sun. We follow the sound of their labored motion into the sky. Superman hovers in the clouds, watching. He descends to a point over the desert, blocking Brainiac's way, and says, I am Superman. Who are you? In the alien language of Kandorian, Brainiac quickly says, You must revive! Slow down, I don't understand you, Superman replies. Switching to English, Brainiac is just able to get out, Revive. Brainiac's leaks spread. Their skin pales and they start to falter. Superman swoops down and grabs Brainiac with one hand and catches the object they were holding with the other. The fabric loosens. It's a cape. Swaddled in is a severely burnt woman. Once young and white, she's been decimated by radiation. Her unitard is torn and burnt. Yet it's still not hard to make out the red S on her chest. End Act 1. To be continued.